Alright, boys and girls, we're back at it again, and today we're going to be starting off with yesterday's trade because I took a trade yesterday. So, for 4th of March, we had, pardon me, ADP non-farm employment. News doesn't really affect the market anymore like it used to, but if we get right into it on the higher time frame, so on the daily, we can very clearly see since the war with Iran started, we clearly had a volatile move to the downside. And I do expect this to keep going down, to be honest, as there is liquidity that we've already taken. There's liquidity here and liquidity here. I expect these two to get swept out before any move up. However, we might have a move up, short time frame move up. But yeah, that's all I can say about it. On the 4 hour, we were very clearly trading within a fair value gap. We had a 4 hour fair value gap just here, and we've reacted very nicely off it, and now we're back down. We might push up and fill it fully, but right now we've had a reaction down out of it, and we have also hit OT and equilibrium. It depends how you pull your equilibrium. Normally how I do it body to body, so that would mean just there. And yeah, we've tapped equilibrium a few times before reacting down, and the -1 fib level agrees with these two liquidity points down here before we bounce up, and the -2 is just under this daily liquidity just here. Yeah, let's get into yesterday's trade. I did take a loss, however I did follow every rule in my strategy, so there's not much I can do about that. Sometimes you just take losses, but if we mark out the Asia Open, this is what I normally do just before to get the chart set up. I like to have the sessions open, as with forex they do tend to sweep, and then we have London Open at 8 a.m. and New York at 1. So starting the day, we had some decent price action, some decent moves. We had swept out some liquidity from the previous day. This was a 4 hour high, which we had swept out just before London had opened. So we had swept out just before London had opened. We then had a break of structure, and I don't take trades on break of structure anymore, as I've back tested and I've gotten better results with taking trades after equilibrium. So if I had taken this break of structure trade, I would have targeted something like this or like this, depending on my analysis, but this seems right considering there's a BPR here, and that would have been a 1 to 4, but as you can see we get stopped out. I didn't enter there, and I will guide you guys through my entry just here. So we had this initial break of we had this initial liquidity sweep, which was a 4 hour 1 hour high, and then we had a break of structure, and wow, and then after that break of structure we had this down move just here, which I wanted to pull equilibrium. So just this down move just there, I wanted to pull equilibrium off that, and we'll do that right now. I do use body to body, as I've seen it works quite well for EU. Sometimes wick to wick works as well. We'll test both of them, but yeah, I wanted a retrace back into equilibrium before I took any sort of trade, and my entry came just here. So we pushed up into equilibrium, and then we had a rejection candle out of it, and my entry was just there. Took a short, and I had stops above this high. I think I set my stop loss to 15 pips. Yep, just there, and I was targeting this low just here. I did this because this was a Asia low, but also the -2 fib aligned with it, so that was good confidence for me to say that this is the low that I want. So that was a 1 to 2.63. Yeah, as we can see, it didn't really go as planned. So we had printed out some candles. I entered. Price action was quite sideways. We then tapped OTE, which is this level right here. We then got a huge rejection candle out of it, which I then felt very confident. And then I assume some news came out. I did think some news came out because Forex Factory did release some news in the hot section story right here, and it just pumped like crazy. We then had really shitty price action for the rest of the day. It literally just didn't do anything for the rest of the day, but yeah, I got pumped out of it. There's not much more I can say about this trade. I did follow rules, and we had lost $500 here. I'm going to add the minus $500. So I lost 1% as I am trading on a 50k funded account. We'll put slash minus 1%. There we go. So you guys know. Yeah, there's not much more I can say about this. I executed well. I wanted this exact level to get swept, and it did get swept. And that, as well as being in a 1 hour and 4 hour, just this 1 hour fair value gap here. We hadn't tapped into it before. Maybe I should have waited for a tap into it before I got a trade. Would that have changed things? I don't know. Maybe they would have. We had a break here, but then we disrespected equilibrium. So if I just move this just across to show you guys. Equilibrium here got disrespected, tapped equilibrium, tapped OTE, reaction candle down, wouldn't have entered that because it needs to be below equilibrium, and then we had a pump straight through, and my stop loss would have been here and it would have gotten hit. On the next one was just this one and that pump straight through. It was just really messy price action, and yeah, I don't regret trading even though there was news, because news doesn't really impact the market much. But yeah, it's just one of those losses that I couldn't have avoided, to be honest. And then on to today's trade. Today's trade was a winner. However, I did not follow my rules to the T. So my rules state that the 4 hour needs to be up in order to take longs, and as we can clearly see, I will clear the chart. Pardon me. The 4 hour was up. We broke structure just there. We had this high point here and we closed above it on multiple candles. But that didn't really matter to me, purely because we are within this huge fair value gap just here. Just there. And also we had hit OTE if we pull wick to wick. Wick to wick from the top of the move to the bottom, hit OTE perfectly. And yeah, longs weren't really favorable, although my strategy said so, and I used a bit of market experience, to be honest, on this trade. I also saw a turtle soup ICT entry, so we'll clear the chart one more time and mark out our session entries before I explain what I was just talking about. So for today we had Asia Open, London, and then New York. Perfect. So right after Asia opened, we had swept this 1 hour previous day high, which the market did react off very nicely. However, I don't trade Asia. So if we have a look, we had this break of structure down, and if we pull our fib just there, we can see we hit OTE perfectly. It looks a lot better on the 15. Hit OTE perfectly and reacted down. As I saw this, I knew this was a manipulation move. I did not like this at all, so I wanted to take shorts. We also had this liquidity sweep just here. Leave in the comments if you guys think that's a liquidity sweep. To me, that was enough. We also had this fair value gap just here, which we respected, and that was enough for me to take shorts on this. And where did I take shorts? You guys are asking, and I'll show you guys right now. We then went on to after the turtle soup ICT played out, hit the OTE. We then zoomed in. I was looking for a 5-minute break of structure, which we got just here on this candle. Bang, right there, broke structure. And then I wanted a draw on equilibrium, which we got soon after, to be honest. We didn't have to wait a while for it. And after that, I entered short on this rejection candle here, as we had tapped OTE and equilibrium and pretty much held equilibrium, if anything. So I entered just there. Stops was above this high, purely because I knew how volatile the market has been, and I didn't want to get swept from this high. And then we targeted 4 hour liquidity, as I knew that if the market wanted to give out longs, it would need to target 4 hour liquidity. So I targeted this liquidity sweep, which also aligns quite well with the -2 fib, although the -2 fib would have just said to target the London low. And if we draw that down, that is a 1 to 2. and I made $1,000 on this trade. So overall for this week, I'm up 1%, sorry. So I made 1,000, lost 500 on the other one. So that's 1% up for the week. But yeah, as we can see, we rejected off that, very nicely came back down and accumulated for a bit before going up at New York Open. But if we drag it along, we formed a double top just at New York Open, just here. And that was enough for me to confirm the move. After this, it was smooth sailing, to be honest. It was very, very easy trade. Then came back down, accumulated for a bit more, and hit the TP and grabbed this liquidity, which, sorry about that, is the one that I wanted. And as you can see, that was the correct TP as we've reacted upwards off it. And yeah, there's not much more to add. It was a decent trade. I followed 95% of my rules except for the bias one, but I was not willing to take longs in a market where we've plummeted, and I only think it's going to keep dropping. The long that I could have taken was I could have waited for this 4-hour liquidity sweep, and then I would have waited for a 5-minute break of structure. Break of structure would have been here on this candle. However, as we can see, this very clearly failed to hold equilibrium. We broke below equilibrium on this candle and then broke below OTE on this candle, so that's invalid. The next leg up that broke was just here. So then using our little fib tool, we then could have gotten along at around, there we go, at around 8 p.m. But it's just out of session trading for me, out of hours. So I would not have longed there. The entry came on this candle as we tapped equilibrium and then got a confirmation candle out, a bullish candle out. Stops would have been 15 pips again. And then we would have targeted 1 hour liquidity, which would have been either this high, which is a 1.1 to 1.3 risk reward, or this high, which would have been a 1 to nearly a 2.5 risk reward. But yeah, that was not the trade I was willing to take. However, it would have still played. And if we have a look, it currently is playing. I do expect us to push to these higher levels, but yeah, I was just not willing to take longs today. And yeah, I did follow the strategy. I am happy with both trades, to be honest. Even if I did lose the previous day one, I did follow my rules. And yeah, another reason I was not willing to take longs today was due to this order block that was formed previous day. So that order block there, tapped into it, and we can see we got a nice reaction down before re-tapping into it one more time. If I just draw this accurately, there we go. Tapping into it one more time and then plummeting down. So it was the right choice for me to make, and yeah, I'm quite happy with it. And then for tomorrow, today we had unemployment claims, but it didn't do anything to the market. Tomorrow, I do expect the market to move a bit. We have NFP and some other red folder news. So I probably won't be trading tomorrow unless I see a really good setup before 1:30. And yeah, I will update you guys on a weekly overview during the weekend. And yeah, thank you for watching.